Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name's Drip Drop, and I'll be your host as always. We have a very special feature presentation for you this evening. There was a shooting on the movie set Rust, and I have a lot of super exclusive interrogations from this investigation. I've already presented to you Hannah, Sarah, Alec Baldwin, possibly some others, and now Dave Hall's the assistant director on set. My last introduction was admittedly a bit long-winded, so this one I'm going to keep short and sweet for you. But before we get to this interrogation, I just want to thank you, every single one of you out there, my special commenters that watched my last video and left me positive, cheerful comments. That doesn't go unnoticed. I super appreciate it, and I tried to answer and respond to every single one that I saw. I'll try my best not to get distracted in the future. And a few videos ago, a lot of you out there reached out to me and told me you were depressed and my videos were helping you. I'm honored, and I won't let you down. You're in a safe place. Nobody can hurt you here at the circus because I'll protect you. Personally. Anyways, this is an ongoing investigation, and right now nobody's been charged in this case. Dave Halls was about 2 feet away from Alec Baldwin when he pulled out the gun, and the bullet entered 2 people. It's a real whodunit. Was it an accident or intentional? Leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this case. Do you have the answers? Thomas? Are you watching right now? Leave a comment down below. Let us know your theory. Some real insiders seem to be watching this show. They're investigating along with us. Maybe we'll be the ones to solve this case. Anyways, short disclaimer, this was recorded on a body cam and the body cam is all over the place and it may cause motion sickness. It's the best we've got for this interrogation though. Anyways, let's jump right into this and see what Dave has to say for himself.
Is it David?
Yes.
And what's your last name?
Halls, Halls.
Okay. And this is not to, I don't want to intimidate you or anything, but it's just due to that there is an active investigation going on, and we have to advise you of your rights. It's part of our policy, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights as follows. Anything you say may be used against you in court or other proceedings. You have the right to consult an attorney before making a statement or answering any question, and you may have him or her present with you during questioning. You have an attorney appointed to you to represent you if you can. And then at any time, I know you're just given some pretty bad news. If at any time you need a break or a breather, just let us know, okay? How long have you been working on this movie?
I prepped it for 4 weeks. Just starting our 3rd week.
You said you've been out there a week?
I've been prepping it for 4 weeks, and we've been shooting this is the start of our 3rd week.
Okay. So can you just start at the beginning of the day and kind of tell us how the day went?
Fine and typical movie set day. We have a very busy schedule, and we're going at a pretty fast pace. And we were pretty much right on schedule. We weren't really rushing it, especially when it comes to times when we're working with guns.
So what time did the day start today?
We had a 6:30 crew call.
Okay.
6:30 a.m.
And what is your role?
I'm the first assistant director.
So what are you in charge of?
I'm in charge of scheduling the movie, disseminating information to the crew about what we're doing every day, every hour. I manage the set. I'm the one that quiet please, pictures up, roll sound, I'm also the safety coordinator.
What does the safety coordinator entail?
It's just overseeing all the departments and making sure that they're following, you know, the right protocols for whatever stunts or gunfire.
Okay. So you work pretty closely with the armorers, then I would assume. Okay. Who is on the armorer team?
Well, Hannah, I don't remember her last name.
Okay.
It's the armorer. And then Sarah, I don't know her last name either. It's more of the prop master, but helps Hannah. I think all that whole prop department, there was a third person that came on. I don't think she was there at the beginning. I never got her name.
Okay. And are you in charge of them?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm their supervisor, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. So this morning, I guess, let's start there. Were there weapons pulled out on scene? Or did you use? Okay, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the actors, there were 3 actors. They played U.S. Marshals, and they had revolvers in their holsters.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, then we got done with that scene, and then we went into the church where the incident happened, and Alec Baldwin's character had a revolver, holster.
Okay. In the morning, who pulls out the weapons?
The armor.
And that's Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay. And where are they stored?
She has a truck. Overnight, or when they're not being used, they're on her truck.
Is it her personal vehicle or is it for the set?
I never saw. I think it's a truck. It's not her personal truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And does anybody else have access to that truck?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just her?
It's an open truck throughout the day.
Okay. So where are the guns when they're not being used?
Oh, I'm on the truck, but I don't know where precisely she stores them.
Okay. So I guess I'm kind of confused as her, if you're her supervisor, there's no one overseeing her when.
No, there's 10 different departments, and they're all pretty autonomous. I'm not directly in their business about everything, so I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never been on a prop truck. I've never.
Who would directly be her supervisor then?
See, it's this whole movie business thing is weird. It's not set up like, normal corporation,
Okay. Salesperson, manager, general manager. It's not set up like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there really no, protocols or checks when it comes to this
Yes.
or handling of weapons?
On set there is, yes. Absolutely, there's protocols.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not for storage and.
Not that I'm aware of. I've never seen that language.
Okay. Interesting. And you don't know whose truck it is?
I think it's a rental truck. The company rents these trucks.
What company?
I don't know the name of the company.
Who would be in charge of that?
Well, it would be the unit production manager and the line producer.
Okay.
And they're the people that rent the equipment, negotiate the deals with the different companies.
Okay. Who do the guns belong to?
Who owns them?
Mm-hmm.
They're, my experience is they're usually rented from a gun rental house.
Okay. But you don't know for sure?
In this case, I don't know.
You don't know if they were rented locally or from somewhere
I
else?
don't.
Okay. All right. So in the morning, when these guns were put on the actors, who is in charge of putting them on the actors?
The armor.
So Hannah did that this morning.
Yes.
Is there anybody that checks the guns?
Yes.
Who does?
Her and I.
Okay. Did you check them this morning?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
And was there anything out of the ordinary?
The guns first thing in the morning was not the gun in question.
Okay.
The gun in question is the gun that Alec Baldwin had.
Okay.
So I can tell you what the safety protocols are.
Yeah, let's start there.
She brings me the guns. I look down the barrel, make sure that there's no obstructions in the barrel. Most of the time, there's no live fire. They just have them on themselves.
Okay.
As a prop or as a costume
Mm-hmm.
piece. And then she opens up, for a revolver, she opens up the hatch, and spins whatever you call that, the drum. See, it's empty, it's empty.
Okay.
And I say, okay, cold guns on set. That's how we do it. You want to get into the incident?
Let's go there.
Okay. I was the closest person to Alec Baldwin when it happened. The scene took place in a church, an old church, 19th century church, 1800s church. Typical pews on the side. Let's say you're sitting in a pew, and I'm standing right here. And we're doing a shot. It's a tight shot. He's sitting in this church. He's been all shot up, and these two U.S. Marshals come in. And it was a very tight shot of him pulling out the gun from his holster. There was I heard no plan of firing. There was no need of putting any kind of blanks in it or anything. It was just a tight shot of him pulling it out and going like this. Now, when you're shooting a tight shot of a gun, if you don't have what we call dummy loads in it, an audience member that knows anything about guns is going to go, that gun's not loaded. So
Okay.
you put these dummy loads in. And the dummy loads, from all of my experience, is they have like a little BB or something. People said it's like clay inside the casing. And you shake it, that's how you know it's a dummy load. Also, if the primer is depressed, it's a dummy load because it shows you that this bullet, this casing, that bullet has been fired.
Okay.
And then a lot of times they have a hole drilled in the side. So you know it's a dummy round. So Hannah brought me the gun. It was empty at the time. She said, I want to check the gun with you. She did all the things that we just talked about. Then she came back and said, I put dummy loads in it, dummy rounds. She opened up the hatch, and I saw 3 bullets that all had depressed primers.
Okay.
On it. Okay.
So hold on. All right. So you said when she showed you the first time, the gun was empty. When was that?
It was moments before we actually, put the dummies. Might have been 5 minutes.
Okay, so within pretty... Okay, so then 5 minutes later, she brings it back, tells you that there are dummy rounds in it.
Yeah.
Did you see where she loaded the gun?
I did not.
Okay.
Was there a reason for the change from?
Because I think they, somebody decided, we're really tight on the gun. We're gonna have to put dummy loads in. I didn't hear anybody say it. And sometimes I'll say it. It looks like we're gonna have to put dummy rounds in it. I heard nobody had requested. I didn't.
So this time you don't know why there was a change.
I'm not for certain. I can only make some assumptions. You want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure that the director of photography, who just passed, probably said, we're in tight on the gun. Or maybe Hannah saw the shot and said, we need to put dummy rounds in it.
So it's not untypical for something like that to happen.
No,
Okay.
it's typical.
And you only saw the 3?
I only saw the 3.
Okay. Do you normally check all of them, or what do you usually do?
Should.
Okay.
You should. And is that what happened this time?
No. Didn't. I don't remember. If she might have spun it, I don't know. But I recall seeing three primers depressed.
Okay.
Now, I'm speculating. Of course, it wasn't a bullet, because these bullets were 45 caliber dummy loads that, that would have thrown her across the room. It would have ripped her shoulder off, So I could kind of say with certainty that it was a blank. But these blanks have stuff, like wadding or whatever. I've heard people say this, like pieces of wax or something, that kind of hold the powder together.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have powder in them.
Yeah.
Do you know who the manufacturer is of the dummy rounds? Okay. And it's okay if you don't know stuff. Would you consider yourself pretty gun savvy?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't know how to work a semi-automatic.
So then you're saying that with certainty it was not a real bullet, that it was in fact a dummy round. What makes you...
Well, I'm not a forensics expert, but I'm thinking that if it was a 45 caliber bullet, it would do a heck of a lot more damage than what we saw.
Can you tell me what you saw?
I didn't see the wound. I saw the wound on the director.
Okay.
It was told to me where it went in her and out.
And what were you told?
That it went in her right armpit and came out here.
Okay.
And then hit the director in his right shoulder. So if
Do what you need to
say
do.
you're Alec Baldwin, and I'm right here, the DP was probably about right here.
Okay.
And they were lining up the shot, looking at a monitor. And my speculation is that she was like this, and the director was looking over her shoulder at the monitor. And then when the gun went off, she might have been like this. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But, and
Where were you standing when it happened?
you're Alec Baldwin, I'm standing here.
Okay, so you were in front of him.
But he's pointing the gun.
This way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine like you're sitting at the end of a pew and the camera is in the aisle
Okay.
between the pews, right? So he's shooting that way.
Okay.
And there's dummy loads in the gun. I had no concern.
Yeah. Where were you watching at the time of at the time that the gun went off?
Just showing you,
At him?
not looking at him.
Okay. Can you tell me what you remember seeing when it went off?
I just remember him taking the gun out of the holster and like that. I can't say for certain if he pulled back the hammer. He said he did, but he didn't pull the trigger.
He didn't pull the trigger.
He said he didn't pull the trigger.
Okay.
And I believe he wouldn't do that.
What about movement of the gun? Do you remember any of that?
It was just like that.
Okay. After it went off, what happened then?
Well, both Halyna and the director fell down. And, you know, we do these shots with blanks quite often, and, you know, sometimes you get sprayed a little bit, you know, you feel it.
Okay.
And I thought, well, that's just what it is, you know, and I rushed over to her. And, you know, and the director is back there going, what? You know, what the fuck happened? I think he said, you know. And then, you know, are you okay? Are you okay? And she said, I can't feel my legs. And then I remember the director being in pain and immediately was like, call 911. The set medic came in there. We cleared as many people out of there as we could. And, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you recall where the gun was placed after it went off?
Yes, I do, because I went and retrieved it.
Okay.
If you're sitting in a pew, he put it down on the pew.
Okay.
And I went in and got the gun, took it outside with the armor. I said, show me those shells.
Okay.
And I don't know the exact count. I don't know if she fully loaded it, but I remember at least four dummy casings because they had the hole drilled in the side. And then there was one casing that didn't have a hole in it.
So were they all removed from the gun?
Yes.
Did all of them have the cap on them? Like the bullet?
No.
Like what would have been the projectile? The gray?
Yeah. And that's funny, I don't recall. I can't say for certain. I think so. It seems like they would be. But I don't know. I was so focused on that one that didn't have the cap on it.
The one that didn't have the cap, can you remember if it still had the gray on it or not?
Oh, no, it didn't.
It did not.
No. It was a casing. It was a shell casing.
But you said, I think you said that one didn't have the holes in the sides.
Right.
Okay. And, okay, so you grabbed the gun from inside, gave it to her. Where did you guys disassemble the gun?
Just right outside the door. She has a cart that
Okay.
she normally, that's where she keeps everything.
Did anything on that cart appear suspicious or out of the ordinary? Okay. And I just want to really confirm 5 minutes prior to her loading these with dummy rounds, it was empty.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could have been sooner. Could have been less.
But it wasn't in the morning
No.
that.
So let's go to your experience, because you're in charge of the safety and everything. And so you've been doing this 30 years, you said?
I'm not in charge of safety. I coordinate the safety.
Okay.
But there's some things that, but beyond my expertise that I can't, like that's why it's called a coordinator.
Okay.
So not a control, because I don't know anything about car crashes. I can't,
Mm-hmm. But you're the second person to inspect the gun
Mm-hmm.
alongside Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
What is your experience in that? Like, you're familiar with inspecting these because you've done this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And nothing different than before?
And it's just the question of just spinning the thing, and making sure that they were all depressed pistons or primers.
But you're familiar and know how to know when it's a dummy round.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Going back on experience, how long have you worked with Hannah?
That's my first job with her.
Okay. And what's your impression of her?
Fine. I'm not used to seeing a female armor and an armor at that age.
Okay.
No
Has
offense.
right. Over the past, or however long that you've been working with her, has there been anything to, give you flags that she would do something to this level?
No. I mean, we had a couple misfires, meaning that the gun would go off in transport, like it would be pointed down the ground, it would go off. But that happens sometimes. But no, I mean, she was very diligent about doing the checks. There was never a gun on that set that wasn't checked.
Okay.
And I understand she has 2 other females that assist her on this.
Mm-hmm.
And your impression of them, their work ethic and experience? No issues.
I don't know how anybody that age could have that much experience in guns.
Meaning Hannah. Okay.
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them?
Yeah.
They're all pretty young?
Yeah.
Are you aware of, her past or?
No, I heard something that she could, like, her family or her father is a big time armor. Very well known armor.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I have no knowledge of it.
Would you consider this incident to be more of an accident, or would you say it was deliberate?
Oh, it's an accident.
And what makes you say that?
Accident. There's absolutely no reason why that would be deliberate. The DP was a lovely woman. I just think that a live blank round got mixed into that dummy load batch.
Okay.
I mean, she's saying that she shook them all and heard them all shake.
If I brought some of those rounds in, would you be able to identify them for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Get that Bruce Louisiana. Low budget horse. I don't. Yeah, they look like the rounds. That this is what I've been told indicates that's a dummy round. I don't think that that's a depressed primer. I don't remember them being snub-nosed, but I wasn't really paying attention. For some reason, when he showed me these snub-nosed, I went, I don't remember those being snub-nosed. I really don't remember. If this is one of them, I don't remember all the ones that I saw. except the casing that didn't have the hole in it. Every round that I saw, except one, had the hole in it. That's my recollection.
Okay.
The other one was a casing with no hole.
So, like this second one
Without the bullet.
without the bullet. Okay. And this was after you had her clear the gun.
Yes.
Okay. Who else has access to the ammo cart?
Nobody should.
Is it ever left out?
I think so, yeah.
So some people could have it's there.
It's there.
Anybody could have it.
Now, look, I can't tell you, I can't recall ever walking by one of those carts and making a note, oh, there's a box of ammo. I really can't. So I know when we went to clear the gun, there was boxes of ammo.
What's the protocol on scene for live ammo?
For live ammo? Well, it depends on certain situations, if you're indoors or what kind of smoke level you want to come out of the gun.
No, I'm talking real bullets.
Oh, I never use real bullets. Never use real bullets. Never. Even if you have to show something on the ground, like dust or something, it's always done with a dust gun, or they put little pyrotechnic they call squibs, little firecrackers that have an electric charge. You bury a cable, if you need machine gun fire, that's how you do that. No, there's no that's beyond the realm of thought.
Okay. And is there protocols in place to ensure that doesn't happen?
No. Yeah, I really want you to understand this, and it's kind of
And that's really
I
what
haven't been around it. Look, again, I don't know if there's been any forensics done. There's probably not. But this is a 45. You guys know more than I do what a 45 does to the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it probably would have gone right through the director too, and through the wall and back of him. I'm not an expert, but I don't think that there was any way that a real 45 caliber bullet was on the set. It was a blank. It was a blank, but I don't know what's inside those blanks. Yeah.
But your experience with blanks,
Yeah.
how much power or damage or anything have you seen before?
I've never seen any damage. And when there's different levels of loads, there's a quarter load, a half load, and a full load. And sometimes it all depends on what the level of smoke you need. It's a quarter load sometimes doesn't produce a lot of smoke. So if you want more smoke, you would go to a half load.
Okay.
A full load is rarely used, especially indoors because they're loud. And, we follow the safety protocols. We provide ear protection. If you're anywhere in the line of fire, eye protection is available. Actors are always well trained, and I'm always very aware of this. You never point the gun at somebody. You always point it off. Okay, and you can compensate with camera and to make it look like they're pointing at it. But just the whole thing happened just so fast. I don't.
Any of these, including the blank, any of your prop ammo, has there ever been anything that got like if you shot at the wall and made a hole, or somebody got skimmed by anything, has there ever been a projectile come from one of these?
Never.
What happens with these kind of rounds if you pull a trigger?
Well, it's empty, and the primer, nothing. I'm not an expert. I've just been told by armorers these are dummy loads because, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you guys shoot more guns. I guess that looks like it's been.
There's usually a striking pin.
Yeah.
On, yeah.
Right? I mean,
A little bit more.
Indented, but I mean, it has a mark.
So I was curious about what you said about the trigger. You said he didn't pull the trigger. He's not supposed to pull the trigger. This wasn't, because if they're dummies, is there an issue with pulling the trigger?
No. If you need the actor to pull
Fake
the
it,
trigger
yeah.
and shot, yeah.
Okay, so you kind of said that he didn't pull the trigger, and you believe he wouldn't have pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I believe you will. I think you know better.
But what I'm trying to get to is
Especially
that you were
pointing at people.
supposed to act.
I didn't know that was planned. It might not have been planned. I just thought it was a shot of him pulling the gun out of the holster.
Okay. This scene was literally just to get him pulling it out.
That's what my understanding was,
Okay.
but it might have changed.
I wasn't there, so I'm asking these questions. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I understand the information that you just received is hard, and then we're here asking you these questions, okay? But we're just trying to get an idea of what took place, what was supposed to take place, and why, if these were what's in there, something came out and hit these two individuals. If it is an accident like you think it may be, what could have caused that accident?
Mr. Baldwin
Okay.
told me he talked to the director of the hospital, and the director told him that the X-ray showed a bullet-shaped object in his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't want to. You would know that by now, but if it's this, how could that not cause more damage?
Yeah.
I don't know what the director was drugged up at the time. Alex said could have been a hyperbole. I don't know. So, but you probably know that.
An object like this silver thing did come out of him. He did tell you that's what did happen. Yeah, you're right. We do know what was pulled out of him. But that's why we're trying to figure out, do you think of malfunction?
God. I don't know how this happened. I mean, if it was a full load, if it was a real 45 caliber bullet, it would be louder than hell. To me, based on my experience, it didn't sound like a quarter load. It sounded like a half load. So was there some manufacturing screw up that got half? No, they got half the,
Has there been any issues on set between anybody?
What about the camera crew that quit last night?
What about if you want to think that there's any connection between that and this, no.
And what makes you say that?
Well, I know that the first assistant cameraman, who seems to be the guy that's motivated the rest of that crew to leave, liked Halyna a lot. He wanted to work with her again. He was very friendly to the director. He was there this morning to pick up his personal equipment. He said, gave me a big hug, and sorry, we have to do this. I mean, they weren't angry, disgruntled. They just said, here's our terms, and you can't honor them, we're just going to leave. So there wasn't shouting or anything about this.
It's just because it happened last night and then this incident happened today. That's
Sure.
why we're trying to.
Sure.
It doesn't.
No, you're covering all
Is
the
there a
bases.
possible connection?
Yeah.
You don't believe
Oh,
so?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
And where was his equipment located when he came to pick it up this morning?
At the camera truck.
Which was where?
In the same area where the prop truck would be.
So where the guns are.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody?
I respect you're trying to cover all the bases. I think you're picturing that somebody walked into the prop truck. This disgruntled camera guy walked into the prop truck in the morning and put a live bullet in the gun that Alec Baldwin was going to shoot, but I had already checked the gun.
Right.
Right? And we confirmed that it was an empty gun.
But then, yeah, so there's that. But it was 5 minutes, and I guess there's just the question of, well, you checked it, it was empty, you were going to use it, right? But then 5 minutes later, you're checking it again because now it's loaded. So I think there's that why. I don't think anybody loaded it last night or came in. It's kind of someone made a change after you've already checked it and it was empty. And now there's this incident. And that's why we're just trying to question.
So I guess it's more just a lot of unknowns at this point.
Sure.
Of where did, Hannah pull these bullets from? Were they in a box? Were they, she said she carries around a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Were they in there? Were they on the cart? That's what I'm saying. Did anybody watch her load this? If anybody did, that's pretty.
Yeah.
5 minutes isn't a lot of time for someone to do a lot of very sneaky things. We're not trying to put the blame on anybody. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're here to get a picture and either,
Right.
prove that this was intentional on someone's behalf, or if it was a manufacturer defect.
Yeah.
We have to do it either way. So any information that we get or a story that we can paint to help us understand will help us make a conclusion as to what happened today.
Yeah.
So, we're not here to point fingers. We're here to ask questions and say, all right, 5 minutes pass. She showed you the gun. You guys followed protocol.
Yeah.
Obviously, you followed protocol. You've been doing it the past couple weeks. There's been no incidents. And then all of a sudden today, this one round that was the loaded round in that gun. And it might be an accident. It might be a manufacturer defect. It's entirely possible.
How do you find that?
We have to send everything to a lab.
And that's why we just need to get these questions out of you now. Because once the lab lets us know manufacturer, intentional, we've already asked these questions.
It's just putting everything together.
Another question. From what we understand so far, there's only so many people allowed into the scene area, the church, during the rehearsal. Who were all those people? That were.
There's only so many people that are allowed in the church.
That's what we understand.
There's only so many people in there while you guys were rehearsing the scene.
Yeah.
So can you name those people that were in there?
Well, Alec Baldwin, Halyna Hutchins, Joel Souza, myself. Ross, I don't know his Ross. He's the dolly grip. I don't know his last name. Reed, camera operator. I don't know his last name. This is the people that I recollect. Now, we were also sequestered, so that I got to, see everybody that was claimed to be in the room. But when the officer asked me how many people were in the room, I just did a visual, and I said, I think it's like 6 or 7. So got Alec Baldwin, myself, Halyna Hutchins, Joel Souza, Ross, the dolly grip, Reed, the camera operator. That's really who I really recall being there.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm facing Alec Baldwin. There's people behind me, that I'm not seeing.
Okay.
And I got a pretty good idea who they are based on we're all, like I said, sequestered.
Out of all of those people, including yourself, is there anybody that has been having issues with anybody else on set? Or anybody else in general? Have they been having any issues that you know of?
No.
That would be concerning?
No. But I'm going to say something. Because this person, I don't think is psychologically very well put together.
Okay.
And it's Mamie, the script supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Mamie, M-A-I-M-E. Her and I had an encounter at lunch.
Today?
Yeah, because I don't know, Mamie's, I don't know. I can see Mamie saying something.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. She just, thought that the whole thing was just a shit show, and and she just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. And she's an older woman. She's been in the business for 40 years, and she constantly reminds everybody. And she, So when the incident happened, she was like, very vocal about the producers. Why don't you go back to Georgia? And then, I don't know how she was feeling about me. She's a bit crazy.
She's the script writer?
Script supervisor.
Script supervisor, okay.
Yeah.
And so she kind of was going off after the incident?
Yeah.
Where was she during the incident?
She said she was in the room.
So she was in there too?
Yeah.
Was she anywhere near Hannah or you when the gun was being...
I don't know. I don't think she was anywhere near Hannah. Hannah was over on this side outside, and Amy wouldn't always hang out over here. So.
Okay.
This could be totally irrelevant, but I don't really trust her emotionally. And so nobody does on the crew. She's just that one, it's just.
No, nothing.
So,
is relevant.
what, yeah,
Anything out of the
I
ordinary.
could see her saying something. I don't know what she would say, but
Do you think that she would manipulate a gun?
no.
But she's familiar with the way these work and the mechanics of it being there for 40 years.
I
in
would
this
think
business.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, mechanics meaning what?
Well,
I don't know if she can load a gun.
it's
I don't know if that'll load a gun or shoot
well,
a gun.
revolver you could easily put
Yeah.
one in.
Mhm.
You don't have to inject anything. It's just spinning with a cylinder. But why would you feel she had issues with you?
I can't take this.
I'm okay
it's
with
about
it.
It's about a ride from here.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
That's fine.
Hey, Tim, I'm still at the sheriff's department. You want to get out of there, I bet. Is anybody going back out to the ranch? Do you know? Or how I might be able to get there?
Can someone come here and pick you up, or?
Sorry, Tim, go ahead. Yeah. No. Yeah. That would be great if you could. Do you have an address?
35.
You want to write this down?
It's not that far from the set.
Yeah, it's not that far from the town. It's 35
Camino
Camino.
Justicia. It's like just
with an A.
yeah. Well, IA.
Fine.
Camino,
Justicia.
just like justice. Who?
Justicia. Justicia.
Yeah. Santa Fe County Sheriff's
Yes.
Department. Okay.
He could even Google that and
Yeah, you Google it, it'll come up. All right, thanks, man. I don't think it'll be much longer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye. This was, I don't know if this was point blank, but if it's a blank, it shouldn't do this. It should just maybe you get a powder burn or something,
should.
right? So,
If anything, out of any of your propolis projects anything, what would you expect to see?
say that again.
So you have all your propolis. If anything
You're blank, yeah.
or blanks projects anything, meaning shoots
Yeah.
out, what would you expect to see? Because I understand some are clay and they just disperse and don't.
Yeah, I don't
Don't have
know.
a hard
I
thing.
mean, you talk to special effects guys and they get hit all the time,
Okay.
you know, with stuff.
Have you
And I've only felt it once and it was so very light. It was just,
ever seen anything like that come out of any of your effects or anything?
no. Is that the bolt they pulled out of the director?
Yes.
And that's why we're trying to get the
That's just no
understanding.
So it's matching what you guys use.
Can I say? I mean, it appears to be. It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David, what's your date of birth?
1959. I mean, it's. It appears to be snub nose like those other ones, but I've never seen.
So that's why we're
anything,
asking.
coming out of an effect on a film set. No.
That's why we're asking
Yeah.
why you would think this would be an accident or if it malfunctioned or, a manufacturer issue or intentional.
Can we move this?
Yeah. Can take a break.
Did you need another water?
No, I'm.
Yeah, I'll walk you over there. So these doors to the left.
It's just not hang up. It's just look. There were two. There were two of the crew that were in the boat. One said that he had done 4 combat tours, and another one was I think he has a lot of expertise in guns. We all kind of felt that it was a half load. Okay.
Given what, the sound?
Just, just our experience with it. That that wasn't a quarter load. It was a half load. So, if that was a real 45 caliber bullet, it would have been loud as hell in that church. And I think those guys would have confirmed that. So it's been loaded with half the load that you usually have, and then a bullet gets put back on top of it. There's no explanation. There's, to answer your question, I've been preeminent about it. There's absolutely no reason to ever have live, real ammunition on a film set.
No, and I agree. That's what you guys have said, that you don't keep
Why?
live ammo on there. So what to you is this projectile? What does it mean to you? Like, was it the half load and someone put that on top of it? Is that what you're saying?
I guess.
Making it a real live round.
Yeah.
How does somebody
If that's
put...
what came out of the director's shoulder, there was a bullet in there.
Well, what was on the ones that I brought in here?
What was what?
Oh, the top of the ones that I brought in here.
Bullets. Right? That's the terminology.
Right. I mean, it's not like somebody can... I don't think he's... What are you meaning by putting it on top?
So the half loads that he's saying are the ones that you believe were in the gun, right? And those are the ones that don't usually have the gray part on top.
No.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're agreeing with me, right?
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, so he's
it's a
saying
blank.
someone
Okay.
put that projectile on top of the one that doesn't have.
So somebody put a bullet on top of a half load in 5 minutes.
It could have been
No,
set up prior.
I'm totally speculating that somehow manufacturer defect. I can't.
But either way, during this rehearsal, the half loads, quarter loads, all of those were not supposed to be loaded in the gun. They were all supposed to be
Dummies.
dummies, the 2 that we showed you,
Yes.
or empty.
Yes.
And this is why it's not adding up to us either. And that's why we're trying to get your experience in what it is with these guns. Like, is this something that can happen?
It's the strangest thing. Just can't. And I'll tell you, I see absolutely no reason to think that there's any foul play. If I did, I would tell you. But I think in general, everybody on this crew got along. Mimi and I like her. I consider her a friend, but she just has this tendency to be a little too chatty. It doesn't think before she speaks.
What would be a good way to get a hold of you if we have anything else to...
612 6056.
And how long are you guys going to be out there?
Oh, we're done. We shall. This meeting's done. Everything will get finished.
Okay.
It's too scarred. The director of photography was killed. The director was injured. Alec Baldwin was involved. It's just, but that's besides the point.
We're gonna give you these cards. It's gonna be her information, mine's on the back. Both for him?
Yeah. Okay.
So if anything comes to mind or recall anything later on, you could always call us and something sticks out that maybe is noteworthy. And remember, nothing is irrelevant of what you think, okay? The littlest thing could be maybe
I
something.
understand. I just wish I could.
We're not done obviously here. We're still gonna go to the same process, the same. We will run ballistics on the gun and the comparison of all of this, and maybe hopefully we could get an answer on all of that. Bring some more closure to this. Because you're right, they're almost here, do you think? Or you probably just left.
Can I go outside and
Yep.
get some air?
Yeah, we can walk you out.
Well, you just heard what Dave had to say for himself. Was he a believable witness? Was he covering for anybody? Who do you want to hear from next in this series? I've got some exclusives that you won't believe. And I may release some other cases first. At Crime Circus, I'm juggling multiple DVDs and Blu-rays at the same time. You'll just have to check back weekly and often as possible. Make sure the bell notification is enabled so you don't miss an episode. We're at about 100,000 subscribers now. Circus fam, I appreciate you. Subscribers, I appreciate you. Viewers, friends, family, I appreciate you. Crime Circus wouldn't be half as amazing as it is without you. Shout out to the Roma Army. That's one of the kindest individuals that's ever reached out to me. Shout out to Daylight Disinfectant, one of the most generous men on all of YouTube, in all of Florida, and on all of the planet too. Anyways, Mark Wiley in Ireland, super appreciate you. Travis, thanks for the knocks. Super generous of you. 100K episode is next, and there's a lot more shout outs coming. I just appreciate each and every single one of you, and there's way too many to list in every video. But the people that I always name each and every episode, this show is extra super possible because of them. And I won't let them down, and I won't let you down. Anyways, more interrogation videos soon. And until next time, remember to stay safe out there because you know it's a dangerous world.